Welcome, everyone, to Design and Disruption Navigating Growth in the Modern Interior Design World. I'm your host, Daniella, co founder of Agency Integrations. And today I am absolutely thrilled to have a true visionary in the interior design space joining us, Sarah Davis, owner of Artful Conceptions. Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Sarah, for those who might not be familiar with Artful Conceptions, could you start by telling us a bit about your firm, the types of projects you specialize in, and what truly sets Artful Conceptions apart in the competitive world of interior design?
Absolutely. So, we are primarily a residential interior design firm. I started the company in 2008. Yep, right in the middle of one of our biggest recessions. Um, so that has been it was a fun challenge to start and an exciting time period. Um, we work mostly with high net individuals. Our primary clientele are professional athletes. So we work all over the country setting up their homes. We specialize in a quick turnaround and a project management for them, construction and management for them to make sure that their redesigns, remodels, and that they are moved into their house as quickly as possible while we build that wellness home for them.
Amazing. That's fantastic. It sounds like you've really carved out kind of a unique niche. Before we dive deeper, what initially drew you to interior design, and what's one aspect of your work that still excites you every single day?
So I think I probably was like almost born to do interior design. My grandma was an artist. And so from like the early age of like 4, she was like teaching me how to draw perspective drawings. And I was that kid that was drawing houses and buildings and like not the like flowers and sunrises and rainbows that most kids are drawing, or most girls are like doodling and drawing. It For me, it was always a house, a box, a street, something along those lines. And my mom would come home and the furniture would be moved around in a house. And I distinctly remember stories of her like literally tripping over furniture and being like, why is the sofa in a completely different space?
Yes, you've really had that creative eye since day one.
So yeah, I don't think there was any other option right from the very beginning. Like that was pretty much the only direction it was going to be. And what still excites me, I think every single day is something different and there's always a challenge. So it is definitely that overcoming a challenge. I love being able to come up with a creative solution to make a space or just create something that is going to be functional and beautiful for my clients, because I feel like all of that has to be incorporated for the design to be successful.
Right. That's super important when it comes to also like the type of clientele that you're dealing with, right?
Oh, absolutely. We can't, I mean, I think first off, everybody deserves good design, no matter who they are, whether they're a professional athlete, they're a doctor, a lawyer, a mom, whatever, whoever they are, they deserve to have great design in their home, and they deserve to have great function, and it deserves to be beautiful. They should wake up and just want to be there. Their home should give them a hug. So my job is to make sure that every day that they wake up and that home gives them a hug, no matter who they are. And that's what I love every day.
I love that analogy that your home giving you a hug. That's a good representation of how you should feel every day.
Absolutely. And if you're not, then we need to work on that.
Exactly, exactly. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about the business side of Artful Conceptions. The interior design industry, I feel like, has evolved so much, especially with digital platforms and changing client expectations. How do you currently attract new clients? Is it mostly word of mouth? Is it a tight knit community that you are in? What is your current, I guess, client acquisition process look like?
So we're definitely mostly by referral. Um, having done this for as many years as I have, I'm very lucky to have long-standing clients. I have clients that we have done, and I've done their houses 13, 14 years they've been a client. And so it's fantastic year after year. If there's a change, whether we're decorating the house every year for the holidays, or it is they get a new house and it's okay, time to do the new house, or it's in a new state, or they move or whatever. They're
Mhm.
always loyal. And then not only are they loyal, but they're passing on their friends and their family members. So that's definitely the highest compliment and definitely the best clientele to be receiving. We do get clients via social media. We do get clients that have seen us on HGTV. We've gotten clients that have seen us in some of the design publications and magazines and things. So that's always nice. And it's great to have that compliment where they're like, oh, I saw you and I can't, I wanted to work with you. It was so much fun, like watching you on TV. And that's always fantastic. So I love all the different ways that that clients come to us and see us because we get different, personalities in each one of those clients.
Right. Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that about HGTV. I'm gonna have to look up a clip.
Yeah, we had fun. So the first time we had a house on HGTV was in an old, old, old show called Extreme Living, which I don't even know if you can find the show anymore. I think it aired back in like three. So, and we participated in doing a house that was, I don't know if they called it the Ruskin House or the Canal House or something along those lines, but it was a very cool house. And it was one of the first times that people saw, fully polished concrete floors and cabinets that were completely suspended and floating. We had furniture.
Was that
It
based
was,
out of Florida, or where was that at?
it's in Florida. The house is actually still here in
Mhm.
Florida. Very, very cool. We had furniture completely made, just to fit the house. There was no, like, solid walls. You had glass walls in the house.
That's
Really,
super.
really cool design for the house. So, that was the first one, and then after that, we were on season 1 of, HGTV's, 100 Day Dream Home. That was a lot of fun doing the design there, working with Mika and Brian.
Once you get like a new client, whether that's word of mouth or through social media or through those episodes, what's the journey, the experience with you?
So the very first thing that it is with me is getting to know that client. I always say that my job is to get to know them so well that I could make a decision as if I was in their brain. Like if they close their eyes and I could just make that decision and they would be like, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Because things are going to happen, especially in construction, that my job is to be able to think quickly, make that decision, and or be able to come back to them and be like, okay, here's what happened, but I have an answer. I just need you to approve A or B on my answer. And so that I take all that stress away from the client because that's my job. At least that's what I feel my job is as the designer.
Mhm.
And when I always tell my client we have a roller coaster that we're going to go on, especially when we're doing a remodel. And that roller coaster is going to be that we absolutely love each other in the beginning because we're super excited. We're going to have a point in the process where everybody gets a little frustrated. And that frustration is going to be because the construction didn't go as fast as we wanted it to, or there were delays from shipping, or there were delays from whatever it was, there's something that didn't happen. A product got back ordered, something got discontinued, things came in broken, whatever it is, somewhere there's going to be that frustration. Ideally, we've built that relationship so well that we get through that, and by the end of the process, we are back to that same elation that we had at the start of the project, if not better, and we're back on that roller coaster where you're walking off of it going, "Oh my god, I can't wait to do this again." Or you're telling your friends, "Oh my god, this was the best experience I've ever had. I could not have done it without Sarah, without her team." Like, that's my hopefully my experience through the process.
That's how you feel you kind of nurture those relationships and kind of guide them towards the full-fledged project, so to speak, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of usually how we, like, navigate through that, but it's a lot of relationship building, and it's a lot of really getting to know those clients, and it's a lot of handholding and making sure that we're protecting that relationship because that relationship and that trust has to be built as a foundation.
Right. Okay. So what would you say are the biggest changes you've observed in client expectations or project demands over the last few years?
I would say the biggest expectations have been probably around a lot of AI that's come in that people think because you can just type a bunch of things in AI and people and it produces information, people think that you can build a relationship that quickly or that you can get answers that quickly. And that's not really real life. So you can't build a relationship with another person that quickly. You can't build a house that quickly. We can't snap our fingers and construct like Amazon delivers. It just doesn't
Right.
happen. So I think the biggest issue that we've had is the understanding that construction isn't Amazon, construction isn't AI delivery. It just is, there is going to be a process and it's going to take time and there's going to be delays. And I think that we have to remember that it's just not as something that happens yesterday, like in that process. So that's probably like as technology evolves, we have to remember that human beings still have a regular pace. And that's
Of
where
course, these are just
some of that
tools, they're not replacements.
we're not sending robots to go build your house. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not
Yeah,
happening.
no, that's not happening. So how would you say that you've, I guess, adapted to these shifts your clients have, like these client expectations?
So I think it's definitely preparing clients more
Mhm.
and giving them a bigger understanding. I think the other thing is also really detailing and explaining things to them a lot better. You know, they are coming to you with a lot of images that are produced via AI, things that they're finding that are AI products. And you have to explain that that's not something that's real. That wasn't produced to actually work. That's not something that fits their plans. That's not something that's going to be reproducible in their space. Like explaining that we can take the idea of that, we can take some of those elements. It's great that they brought you some ideas that they love, but that just because AI said it's possible, it doesn't mean that that's actually constructible in their space. So it's a lot of education. And I think that that's the biggest thing that we all need to adapt to is understanding that AI is very fallible and it's still in its very early stages. And we want to use it, we want to adjust to it. I think it can be a great tool, but we have to remember it's one of the tools in our toolbox, not something that's like our be all and end all.
Of course, yeah. I agree with that sentiment 100%. It's very clear to me that you're deeply connected to your clients, thinking about the entire project life cycle from initial concept to final installation. What are the most time consuming or maybe like administrative heavy tasks for you or for you and your team?
Oof. Okay. So I hate shipping. That's like my I think there's every one of us. Like I hates it. Shipping, logistics, warehousing, all of that. Okay, we have warehouses all over the country because we work all over the country. And thankfully, I have amazing teams all over the country that are doing that and taking care of that for us because I cannot. Like, I just cannot. I would never get anything done if I had to can't handle all of those logistics. It's too much. Like, it's just way too much. So that's definitely my biggest headache is shipping, the tracking, the following, the fact that, I cannot jump on a truck and drive that truck to the warehouse or go pick it up at the wherever anything is manufactured. It's just not happening. Sometimes our clients think that it is, but we can't do that. So there is a lot of timetable that goes into that. That's definitely some of your biggest headaches when it comes to the process. And again, my team is phenomenal with that. Like, thank God I can like pass that off to it. Um, my favorite
Okay.
parts are the design of it. Exact. Like, you know, I
Of
I
course. That's your
love
bread and butter. That's your bread and butter. So
that's my bread and butter. That's my bread
yeah,
and
so
butter. I wanna be able to spend my time on the design and with the client. Like, so I will hire as many people as I can that fill those administrative spots, that are gonna do the scheduling, that are gonna do the logistics, that are gonna take care of the warehousing, that are gonna take care of labor, so that I can spend that time doing the
mhm,
design and working with the client.
okay. And on the flip side of things, where do you see the biggest opportunities for growth or for expansion for Artful Conceptions in the next 3 to 5 years?
So I will stay with my process that I have done, and I will continue to add administration and warehousing and labor and all of that, because I have found over time that clients they want to work with a principal designer. And I have tried before in years where I've added additional designers. And at the end of the day, what ends up happening is those clients, they give that other designer a harder time. They end up wanting to work with the principal designer. They feel like they're not getting what they're
Mhm,
supposed to be getting. Um, they don't want to pay the fee to work with the non-head designer. And so for me, I have found to give my clients the best that I can give them is to take on the amount of clients that I can deal with directly by adding on as much support staff as I possibly can, so that they can do the ordering and the tracking and the following and all those administrative things, so that I can
mhm.
just work on the design and the client management.
When you say that they don't wanna work with, other designers that you've hired in the past, do you mean it's because they don't know who they are, or they don't see any
Um,
of their work social media, or it's
no,
because they know you for referrals, or how come?
I think it's more because they come to Artful Conceptions because of the brand that I've grown over the years. And so even though I've hand selected those designers and I thought, and I believed every drop in those designers and they were phenomenal. And at the end of the day, I would be overlooking everything that they did. The clients would look at it and be like, but it's not Sarah. It's not Sarah doing this design with us. It's not Sarah meeting with us. We want to meet with Sarah. Or, a problem would arise and they'd be like, well, how is Sarah going to handle this? Why isn't Sarah meeting with us? And so, again, even though those designers were 100% capable of handling it because I handpicked them and I trained them and I made sure they did everything the way that I would do it, that client was never 100% like, "We know this is how Sarah was gonna handle this," because it just physically wasn't me in front of them. And so, at the end of the day, I felt like the best way for me to move forward was to just make a change in the way that I handled it. And especially because when I am dealing with a lot of high profile athletes, they want to deal with me. They don't want to deal with an assistant. They don't want to deal with an associate designer. They want to deal only with the owner of the company, only with the principal designer. They're like, I don't want the secondary designer. I want the head designer. And so it's like, okay. let's just make this change so that they don't have to. So that's kind of how that came about.
Okay. All right. Interesting. But I could see that view for sure on the client's perspective. Let's dig a little bit deeper into the operational gears of Artful Conceptions. Beyond the creative work that you do, what does the day to day look like for you and for your team in terms of managing projects, communicating with clients, coordinating with suppliers? How does your days look like? Probably different, right?
Every day is completely different. Every day is completely different. Um, for instance, today we have creators and freighters showing up today to pick up some beautiful artwork that is shipping out to Seattle because it has to get there in time. So we'll have that to make sure that that's arranged. So we'll have everything from days in which we have items being picked up and shipped across country. We had today there was a delivery out to a client's house of a beautiful dining table that came in and an ottoman that came in. That was done solely by our warehouse staffing today because our warehouse staffing is amazing. We have a crew of 6 we've 7 at this point right now on our warehouse staff. That is amazing. We had 2 guys that went out today to do that delivery, and the client is just ecstatic to have had, that taken care of. The piece came in on, Thursday, and we got it out to her today. So, that's kinda usually what we try to do in our turnaround, if possible. What else do we have going on? Just on a regular Monday, like, check up and check in. We have let's see, we had some new samples come in. I did pick up a new rug vendor called Floor to work on for designing area rugs that we can completely customize and design ourselves. So I'm kind of excited about that one. I pulled those for a new presentation that I have together for Wednesday. So I'm excited to kind of finalize that presentation for a complete kitchen remodel. I've got about 3 rooms that are going to be remodeled in that project. So that's a project that's being finalized and samples being pulled right now for that project. And then, of course, we have payroll that's being finalized and run today to be done for the weekend or for Friday. And trying to think what else is being done today. So yeah, so it all just kind of depends on the day that it is, as to what exactly is usually going on operations. But we're always kind of managing to see where everybody is. Um, we do have some receiving going on out in Seattle. Um, that was being finished. We had one delay. It was supposed to come in today. It's coming in tomorrow. So, it's that kind of a thing. It's checking in and making sure we know up to date diet. So that kind of delayed one of our contractors. We had to move a contractor from receiving from today to tomorrow. A lot of
Okay.
balls in the air.
A lot of moving parts. Are there any specific points in not necessarily your work, but I guess your administrative people, their workflow that tend to create maybe problems or bottlenecks that require a lot of manual oversight on their end, perhaps maybe after a retainer is paid or during the shipping and installation processes and phases? How do you currently track the source of your projects and measure the effectiveness of your marketing efforts?
So I think marketing is probably the hardest thing for me. So I'm going to kind of I'll circle around back to that. As far as flow for projects, I feel like we have that down really well. We have a great program I love. So it's an online dashboard. Clients get on there, we process everything through there. Once they accept proposals, their contracts are on there. They accept proposals online. They can see their design boards on there. They can see 3D renderings. They can see everything in that project on there. They can accept everything on there. They can pay through that platform. That's just an awesome. We create purchase orders through there. We can update status through there. Everybody in the entire company can get on there and update through their accounting, whole 9 yards. So that aspect of it needs very little oversight because of that platform. Love it. So that's a great, like, that's like off our table, great platform. Like, definitely was like best decision I ever did was to move away from QuickBooks and find a platform like that. As for marketing, I am always struggling for the right marketing. I have tried a lot of different, marketing companies and different things. And I feel like we always just try new and different things. And I think that's kind of what life always is, right? Is trying new and different
Right.
things and tracking it. I think it's Richard Branson who always said, like, make a decision and then like make another decision. Like, don't ever be afraid to make the decision. So I kind of tend to be one of those where I'm like, okay, let's try this marketing idea. I don't see any return coming on it. Let's change and make a different one. So we've done everything from, magazine ads and we've been in, people ask me to be in a book. Sure, no problem. I'll be in a book. Like, how many designs do you want for that book? I've written a book actually, it just came out with another book that just came out called Designing Haven. So, I mean, we kind of just do all different kinds of things, like to see where it is that we want to market and go through. Try and maintain social media. I'm really bad at maintaining social media. I've had people maintain social media and then I get picky and I'm like, You're not quite my brand."
Like you hire somebody like in-house on your
Yes.
team?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've done both like in-house social media management and then I've hired companies to do social media management and sometimes I feel like it takes up just as much time because then I'm like overseeing what they're doing and I'm like, changing it. I'm a little particular, I guess is the
A little
word.
bit nitpicky.
A little
That
nitty.
looks okay. So, are you doing any marketing right now, or is it all
Um
just your finished projects and you kind of like take project photos afterwards and
we
put
do
up testimony?
Yeah, we do a lot of pictures of, finished products. We definitely so I have a photographer who always comes in at the end whenever we finish projects. Um, at least in the state of Florida. I don't always fly him across, to different areas to go take pictures. So we always have Florida pictures taken. And then so we try and definitely do those and post
Yeah.
those pictures and do that and try and be out there on social media, but it's definitely not it's more organic and we do definitely rely more on that referral based marketing.
How do you acquire like, let's say, like maybe reviews like after a project is finished and after you guys like get your before and after photos completed?
We definitely ask our clients to give us a review after the completion of a project. And it is something that goes out to them in emails and that kind of a thing. And in like email, I wouldn't say, I guess it's email marketing is the correct term, but and just like little reminders of like, hey, if you enjoyed the experience with us, we would really appreciate, a review. And that kind of a thing to get those reviews out there. It's sometimes it's kind of hard too with who our clients are, and a lot of times because they're not necessarily spending that time, doing that. So, and a lot of times we're working with maybe their agents or their financial advisors or that kind of a thing. When it comes to the day to day work, I mean, we work with the client, but on the day to day, we're working with a lot of their people per se over, that straight client a lot of times.
Okay. Yeah. So client communication is key in design.
In design, always, always, always. In my opinion, I don't think that design should be vanilla looking. I think design should be about that person. I think if it's vanilla looking, if I could take a design and put it in another space and it be the same, or if you're repeating the same thing over and over again, then you're not designing, you're staging. And there's a very
Right.
big difference.
There is a big difference between that. Well, it's incredibly insightful. Sarah, as you look ahead, how important is efficiency and scalability to the future of artful conceptions? Are there any emerging technologies or approaches you've considered to enhance in these areas? I know you mentioned like the CRM platform. Is that a recent addition to your company?
So this we have been using this platform for a couple of years now. I like this platform so far. This has been the best platform that I have found. I am always going to be searching for what's the next best platform. Like when we outgrow this one, it will be what's next. I think that's the important thing is always looking to see how can we grow? Like what can make us bigger? What can grow us? So does that mean that we're bringing on real estate agents to the company? Does that mean that we bring on another branch in a different way? I'm not sure. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do we
Yeah.
know? We partner with a bunch of realtors right now, which I love, which helps. We partner with builders right now, which is fantastic. Does that mean that down the road we don't have that as an actual branch of our business? Maybe. Who knows? Um, but I think one of those might be the next direction towards artful conceptions.
Okay. All right. Sarah, this has been an incredibly rich conversation. Your passion for design and your thoughtful approach to business is truly inspiring. What's one piece of advice you'd offer to an aspiring interior designer looking to build a successful firm today?
I think probably the one piece of advice that I would give an inspiring interior designer is that don't get hung up on the tools of the design world. Like, just remember it's still about the actual space and what you are creating and designing. Like, the tools can come and go, but if you can't grab a pencil, a paper, a ruler, and be able to sit down and sketch in front of your client and really be able to come and create and design, you're missing something. You need to still be able to have that connection. You need to still be able to create on site and don't let yourself get hung up on that computer, on that needing to have to be able to have a program or whatever to be able to create that design. It's got to be connected to that relationship so that you can just create freely. And I think that will help you really grow towards your design business because holding on to something like a tool is going to just hold you back in the long run.
That's some great advice. Where can our listeners find Artful Conceptions online and connect with your amazing work?
Thank you. So you can find our website at artfulconceptions.net, and my Instagram is Sarah Shirelli. You can also still find us on Facebook at Artful Conceptions. Um, but I would love to interact with your clients. We're also on TikTok at Artful Concepts. And we did just come out with a new book, Designing Haven, which I'm really excited about because I do talk a lot about that wellness home and how to create it for yourself.
Awesome. When does that book come out?
It just came out March 2nd. So it's
Or
available on Amazon right now.
thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your valuable insights and time with us today. It's been a pleasure learning about artful conceptions and the innovative ways you're approaching the design world. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Design and Disruption. We hope this conversation has sparked some ideas for you. If any of the operational challenges or growth opportunities we discussed today resonate with you, and you're curious about how maybe AI powered systems could potentially offer solutions for your business, I'd be happy to schedule a brief non obligation strategy session to dive deep into those specific pain points. Just reach out to us at Agency Integrations. Until next time, keep innovating and growing. Okay.